Hey everybody, it's been such a long time. I'm sorry for my absence. Life happens a lot. The last time I tried to podcast, my eldest got sick and I had to pick him up from school. I literally got the phone call while I was podcasting, which no big deal. He's fine. That was 2 weeks ago and now I'm finally coming back to say hi and share with you my knitting. This is the For Knit Sakes podcast. I am Allison. I'm coming to you from my bedroom floor in El Paso. It is quite windy today, which is really nice. I'm looking out my window. You'll see my hair whenever we get some spurts of wind coming through. It's nice today. It is April the 22nd, Tuesday, I think. I really hope today's the 22nd. Sorry if I'm wrong, but it's Tuesday in April. I know that's really helpful, right? I have lots to share. I've done a lot of projects. A lot of stuff has happened. I was asked by the local school district to teach a workshop on how to start new bassoon students because I always say in a past life, but you know, it's this life that it happened. It just feels like a lifetime ago that I actually did it. I went to school to be a music teacher and I played the bassoon. I used to have a pretty small studio and I played a lot when we lived at our first 2 duty stations. I'm also a military spouse. I am not going anywhere. My husband thought he wanted to get out, but now we're staying and I'm kind of excited about it, but just kind of dealing with the mental whiplash of thinking that we were leaving and staying in one place for the rest of our lives and now getting into the mindset of moving every 2 to 3 years. So it's been a little bit difficult, but I'm hoping doing the podcast today will kind of help. I'm drinking coffee from my favorite mug. I almost always make sure that this mug is clean whenever I make coffee just because it's so big, it holds lots of coffee, and I can hold my hands around it and it's nice and warm. That won't really help me over the summer when it's 90 degrees by 7 a.m., but today it's wonderful. I almost just spilled it on myself though. Okay, so lots of things to talk about. Little admin things. You can find me on Instagram under for_knit_sakes, and you can find me on Ravelry underneath one word without any underscores, For Knit Sakes. The number 4, don't spell it out. But I got lots of finished objects and things to chat. I'm sure I'll get interrupted, so this might be broken up into little tiny pieces, and I'm actually kind of considering doing small segments over like the course of a week, kind of like Molly from the Homespun House did. I think it would be the easiest to find like 10-15 minutes here and there to film things, and it wouldn't take me a month to get everything done. So, but we'll jump into finished objects. I'm not going to try to make this video super duper long, but I have done quite a bit of knitting since we last spoke. And the first one are my V-Junkie socks on my cheapy Amazon knit blockers. I love the color. I know my face gets washed out in this, but the color looks pretty true to form here. The honeycomb. Here we are again. V-Junkie socks. These are from the Socktopus book by Alice Yu. It's a very simple repeat where you slip stitches and knit stitches, and then every, I don't know, 5th or 6th row you purl the 2 together, so then you get these. The slip stitches are pretty long. The yarn is a Regia yarn it's an arabesque colorway, but it's got browns and reds and a little bit of blue, and then I just did the toe in some Knit Pick Stroll in navy. Yes, Knit Pick Stroll. They're sock base. So they are shorties. It is not a usual ribbed cuff. It is I don't remember what they called it. I'm not a big fan of the rolled cuff where it looks like I purled. I already sent the book back, so now I don't remember. But it's okay. I think if I did it again, I would do a ribbed cuff instead. And then the heel, which I actually just put in my second sock, is a garter stitch short row. So you're knitting everything instead of purling on the wrong sides to get the stockinette stitch. But I put these in Candace's of the Pin Feathers and Pearls podcast stripy socks cowl because Regia usually always has some sort of stripes. This part right here is kind of variegated, so I don't know if that's going to get me disqualified or not, but everything else is stripy. I almost just hit myself. You guys, I'm such a mess. And I'm going to apologize about my last podcast. I misspoke about so many different things, the designers for different things, and words are just hard sometimes, especially if I haven't had my coffee yet. So, yes, these are really great. I like them with the honeycomb. They remind me of spring. The color doesn't, obviously, but the pattern does. Those are my only socks that I've gotten finished in a month. I'm a little disappointed about that, actually. But I have been busy with other things, and I will have all of them to show. So I haven't been completely sitting on my butt eating bonbons. That's what a lot of the military spouses like to say. There's a whole world of really mean ladies in the military world sometimes. I personally have never dealt with any of them, but I have seen them on spouses pages. So, okay, the next one I started and finished is a hat and cowl pattern by Stephen West called the Windchief pattern. I don't know if it's Windchief. I'm pronouncing it like you would the word mischief. But it's a really cute hat and a cowl pattern with this offset ribbing. And it's twisted ribbing, so you're knitting through the back loop and purling. But I like it because you can you can see it. It kind of goes up in a curve. You can see it more in the cowl. So this is some yarn that I had left over from when I did my Pure Joy shawl. It was paired with a really pretty like royal purple color. And this is something I got from one of those knitting subscription boxes. I only had that subscription, I think, for 2 months. And then when I got this color, I honestly canceled it because this is not my color. It's, but I don't mind it now in the hat, and I've actually gotten a lot of compliments on it from people like posting pictures and stuff on it, not from actually wearing it, because it's not cold enough to wear a hat right now in El Paso. And I made a coordinating cowl, still haven't woven in the ends, from some Noro that I had sitting around. I felt like the green down here matches pretty well with it. So the pattern is the same whether you make the cowl or the hat. You just don't do the decreases when you are doing the cowl, but it still creates this slanted and twisted rib. And in the Noro, I think it looks really nice. I think I did have if I look in here, I think there was a part in it where the repeat got messed up and I had a knot. I'm having that in a lot of my yarn recently. It doesn't usually make me upset, but it kind of makes me upset when I have striping yarn because then it messes up the repeats. So, and it was in one of the, I don't think I have an example of one of the balls. So I didn't wind it, so I didn't notice it until I got to it. Womp womp. But the cowl turned out really nice. I'm hoping to wear it when it gets cool again, like in October or November. And the little coordinating hat. And the nice thing is this is stretchy enough to fit everybody in the family. So even the 3-year-old, the 6-year-old, and my husband and I can all wear it. So my eldest will probably steal it to wear it to school next year. Because when he goes to school in the mornings, it's like 30 degrees. Because the desert does get relatively cold in the mornings. And then it's just hot by 10 o'clock, usually in the summer, from what I'm hearing from people that have been here for a while. So we'll just kind of wait it out and see. Like I said, today it's really nice. I have the window open. It feels great. You can see my hair blown in the wind. But I don't think it's supposed to get super hot today. I'll have to wait and see. Okay, the next thing I did, I totally got the designer wrong on my last podcast. It's Susan B. Anderson's sheep pattern, and I made one for both of my kiddos. If you haven't seen it, they're usually made out of sport weight, but I had this bulky fleece yarn sitting around that I've been trying to figure out what to do, and I didn't want to make hats or scarves or anything just because it's too warm, but I thought they would make really good stuffies, and so I did that. They're not quite finished because they don't have feet, but my kids didn't really care. They still took them anyways, and they're not like super cute colors because these are the only ones I had, but I think they're really cute. So this one is my oldest. This is just the textured pattern from it, and then I did the color work one for my youngest. One, I think I stuffed a little bit more than the other, and I did their little faces and their ears. This one, the ear's a little bit wonky because my 3-year-old liked to carry it around by the ear. I'm thinking if I add the feet, it would help solve that problem a little bit. So, but these are really fun, really easy. I used gigantic double points. I think they weren't quite the size, the US size 11s, but they weren't US 10.5s. There's like a couple in betweens for some reason for when you get to that needle size. So double points and the cute little garter stitch on the bottom, and then you pick up and knit in the round, do the head, blah, blah, blah. Not giving anything away, I'm hoping. It is a paid pattern on Ravelry. I am allowed to buy patterns using my, during my, my yarn diet. If you haven't watched any of the previous episodes, I self-imposed a no yarn buying diet on myself from January through July. Sorry for all the sniffling. I know, it's so annoying. I'm sure you guys are so annoyed right now. Sorry. And I've done really well so far. I haven't bought any yarn. My husband did buy some yarn from the local yarn shop because it was closing right as we were getting here. So he bought me a bunch of yarn. We called it my birthday present since my birthday was in February. And other than that, I haven't bought any yarn. I've had yarn sent to me, and I will get to that in just a moment. Excuse me. But I can buy patterns. So patterns are free and fair game. Usually I have some money sitting in my PayPal, so then it's not even coming out of our bank account. And then I go from there. Oh man, I'm missing something, and it's all the way up there. I'll probably pause and pick it up. But those are all my finished objects for this time around. I have, well, one, it's kind of a finished object. None of the ends are woven in. But on my last podcast, I mentioned I was going to start doing a lot of charity knitting. And I put up kind of like a, not a request, but if anybody felt the need or the urge to send any yarn, then they could. And I had a friend of mine, Wendy. I've never actually met her in person. She is a fiber friend solely through social media. And she sent me a box full of yarn. So I guess she just went to Walmart and she loaded up her cart with all different colors of red heart skeins and a couple things of cotton. But I think I'm going to try to make those little NICU octopi. I think they're octopuses. I listened to a podcast when we were living in Germany, and somebody reiterated the fact that it's octopuses and not octopi. So the more you know. But she sent me a whole bunch of yarn, and I actually finished a blanket last night, and it's a Pearl Soho pattern free through their website. I will never ever probably be able to afford to buy their yarn. It's all so beautiful though. But I did the colorful wedges baby blanket, and I didn't do the full amount of wedges just because I did it in worsted, and the pattern is called Fort and Sport. And the blanket turned out huge, and it is it fits the minimum for Project Linus, which is a nonprofit organization. There's a bunch of different chapters all across America that donate blankets to kids, adults, teenagers in need. So it's not just babies, which is really great. So everybody gets to share the love. But the minimum for my chapter is a 40 by 40 for children, and it fit perfectly. My other blanket, unfortunately, I'll show in a second. But this one's huge, and I'm on the floor, so I'm not going to be able to, I can't even get all of it on camera. But this is the top part. This is what I just found off last night. So I did some oatmeal, some coral, and I had this teal tweed in my stash from Germany that I had bought at one of like the local like dollar store equivalents. So I just did those 3 colors. All of the upside down wedges are the oatmeal color, and then so I just alternated coral, teal, coral, turquoise, whatever. Coral, dark, so you guys can see a little bit of it at least. It kind of reminds me of that game that you play, that board game Backgammon, is it? Looks like it's a giant one of those board games. So it's nice and big. I still have to weave in the ends and I have to wash it. But really simple knit. If you're wanting something quick and easy for like a baby blanket, this is it. And I am not a yarn snob. There is a place for Red Heart in this society for things like this. It's easy to wash. It's still relatively soft. It's gotten so much softer since I started knitting. I remember like really disliking Red Heart when I first started, but now it's nice. It's a really big blanket, and I'm really excited to donate it. Now my other one is a corner-to-corner crochet blanket, and I told myself I would never, ever. I think I even said on the last podcast, I'm like, oh, it's not my thing. I'm never going to do it. What did I cast on? Or what did I hook on? A corner-to-corner crochet blanket. Now it's in worsted though, so it's a lot bigger. But I did like how quickly it went. And now this one's done in some Hobby Lobby. I love this wool. The border is being done in Red Heart because it's not the minimum 40 by 40, which is I'm really bummed about. And then I had some of this dark blue in my stash. So it's kind of like a color blocked blanket. I really like it. Like I said, it's not quite that big. But I thought the colors coordinated pretty well. And I'm just doing a simple border. I have to increase it by like 5 inches all around. But I have some of this off-white color left. So I think I'm going to do 2 of the blue, 1 of the white, and then 2 more. And then I think I'll have it just close enough that I can donate it when they have their meeting on May the 6th. So, and I'm using a eye hook, surprisingly. I thought I was using something smaller. Okay, but eye hook from Boy. These are all, I don't understand like the fancy covers. I guess maybe I just don't crochet enough to need those extras. I always learned on this, and it's easy. Tell me why in the description box if you have fancy ones that have like the plastic, like the equivalent from when you had like the pencil grips when you were in elementary school, which honestly, did those really do anything? No. So yeah, I will have those done by May the 6th because that's when the meeting is and that's when I can donate it. I am missing my 3 pips. I started a new, I think I have a shelf sitting up there that has some project bags on it. I think that's where they're at right now. But I have one more work in progress that's down here that I can show you. It's in, wrong way, sorry. I feel the start of something new. I found this in a TK Maxx in Germany. It's not TJ Maxx, it's TK Maxx there. And I like it because it has this really bright orange, I match, lining on the inside. And I started some Mercury socks. They were all the rage. Let me find my blocker because I've actually finished one sock since we talked. And this is out of Legacy Fiber Arts. They were my first podcast I ever started watching. So Chelsea and Sue, if you ever watch Little Old Me, hi. Fangirl if you ever do. Had such a fangirl when Julie from the Happy Knitting podcast comments on my Instagram, or the Naughty Knitwits ever comment. I feel important. I know. It's so cute, right? Okay, so this is from their Hocus Pocus line that they came out with. And I got the Mary Sanderson because I really liked all the reds. And I think there's like, you can kind of see where this dark purple comes in. And this is just some Cascade sock yarn. I've had it in my stash for a really long time. I had 2 skeins of it, and I had already made a scarf for a friend, and I had just enough. I did that garter ridge or garter short row heel, which I really like. It's more squishy. So I think I'm gonna stick with it. They're shorties. I might use them for no, I can't. Christy and Tristan's Girls in the Yarn Cafe are doing shorties in a shoebox, which is so much better for me because I make nothing but shorties anyways. So I'm gonna start doing shorties for them. If I make 1 per month, then I have 9 pairs of shorties by the end of the year. So that's it, just a regular decrease every other row, and then decrease down to like 8 or 10 stitches. I don't remember. And then I did a 3x1 rib, I think, up here. It's not a 2x2. And then I've started the second one, and I knit these on Xiaogu's 40-inch circular size 1s. So I'm done with all my leg repeats, and I just need to start the heel. It's a really fun pattern. Super, super simple. Free. Easy to do. And I like that I can fit it. It's so windy. I really love it. It's so nice and cool right here. My coffee's already cold, but whatever. I'll deal. I'll just put it in the microwave. Life of a mom. True story. Okay. I'm going to pause. I'm going to go grab my project bags up there, and I will continue. And I'm back. Yay! Okay, so I don't know if I talked about this on my last podcast or not, but let me see, check my notes. Nope. I had done the 3 Pips Mystery Knit Along last fall when my son was in the hospital, but I was never really quite sure of all my colors, and I wasn't super motivated to do it, I think because the colors didn't quite go together. If you go to my Instagram, or maybe I can pop in a picture really quick, because I used a self-striping yarn, and so there was way more stripes than was intended for the pattern because there was striping in the pattern. I'm not giving anything away. So I frogged it, I ripped it out. I said I was going to use that stuff for socks later on. Super pretty yarn, just not meant for that. So, but I really still wanted to make it, especially after watching one of the most recent Girls in the Yarn Cafe episodes, and she was wearing it. It was when she went and visited Christy and Tristan in Utah. And so I'm still in the striping section because I put it down for all of my charity knitting crocheting that I said I was going to do this month. I don't think I printed out the first page of the picture of it. Oh, I did. So yes, it's a Debbie Reese, Amy Meeks design. 3 peas in a pod, 3 pips. And I had this yarn that a friend gave me when Oliver was in the hospital. She was so super sweet. Just fingering weight. It's not fancy wool. I'm pretty sure it's acrylic, but it has such really pretty colors. Browns and blues, like that blurple color. All my favorite colors. And then my second color coordinated actually almost perfectly with the brown in it, which is just some Knit Pick Stroll. And I love that this doesn't require full skeins. I do have 2 balls of this, so I have 100 grams of the variegated, but then my other ones are just Knit Picks. And then my third color is this really bright sea blue. Oh, it's so wonderfully. That's my navy one. That's totally not the right color. That's not navy. But, so I've done the first part of the shawl. So you can see the striping with the brown is really subtle, and then when you get to the blue, it's very bright and different. And then you get to the lace section and it goes back to the variegated. So I just still need to do a couple repeats of the large stripes, and then I'll get to the variegated lace section. But I really enjoy the knit. I just feel the first time I did it, the colors just weren't working. I should have known better than picking a self-striping yarn but I didn't know it was going to stripe. I knew it was going to be more than one color, but the striping didn't come until later. And then when I started, I was like, this isn't not what I wanted. And this is being housed in a 31 zipper tote. I have so many of them because I use these kinds of bags to organize things for the boys. And so I have a bunch of these, which is one reason why I just don't buy project bags, because I can also make them. I mean, I have this one that I made, and they're pretty much the same. When I started buying these and then I realized I could make them, I stopped buying these, started making them, and then I have a coordinating big one. I will never make them to sell just because I don't have that kind of self-discipline. Plus my sewing machine's not fantastic. I did get it working, and I did make some pillowcases out of some fabric my mother-in-law sent me. The boys love them at Scooby-Doo. What's in here? What did I put in here? This is dream knitting. Not really dream knitting, it's planned sock knitting. My son always likes to have knit socks, but then he never wears them. Does anybody else have that? He's 6 years old. He asked me to knit him some socks. I knit him some socks, and they sit in his drawer. And this last pair I can kind of understand because I told him they were made out of the Knit Picks Chroma, which is a non-plied, a single ply, kind of very fuzzy yarn. And it ripped as I was doing the Kitchener stitch on the toe. So I told him, like, these probably aren't going to be good school socks because they're probably going to get a hole relatively quickly. So I think he took that as I shouldn't wear them, and so they sit and they look pretty. He did put them on last night, but only because I asked him to check to make sure that they fit, because for his socks I do 52 stitches on a size 1. I did them on my Hi-Hias, and I'm thinking I might wait until I'm done with my I call them my Mary Mercury socks on my Chiaogus, because this cord, the Chiaogu cord always lays flat. This doesn't. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. And I was thinking of doing 4 at a time, but I don't think, even with the decreased amount of stitches on his, that I would be able to fit 4 comfortably, especially on this. I might be able to do it on my Chow-Yus, but not the other one. So he originally had picked this Patton's Croy self-striping. I think I have, oh yeah, I just pulled it out. Oh, it doesn't have the color on it though. Never mind. This Patton's Croy, and my socks I use less than 50 grams, so I only bought 1 ball. This stuff's expensive. $6 for 1 little ball when I can buy like nicer yarn from Knit Picks. Although I'm sure if you have a coupon, it's totally worth it, right? And I was gonna do like it's highlighter day. I was gonna do like this highlighter yellow. Wow, it's so blown out in the camera. I'm using my phone. I finally just broke down and just using my phone because all the computers are starting to fail on me. But then he started going through my stash, and then he picked this Regia piano color. So this is not self-striping. In the picture on the band, I'm not really quite sure what to call that. It looks mottled to me, but I don't think mottled would be the best. So probably variegated is what they were going for, but he picked this instead. So I'm going to now do this. It looks so bright, but he wants his heels and his toes in this color and this to be the main sock. And he always wears shorties too. So I'm gonna do those, and then I was gonna make myself this sock right here with these. So then we can kind of like, not be matchy-matchy, but be coordinating, because that would be so uncool, Mom, if we were matchy-matchy. And I tried to start my sock on the infamous 9-inch circulars, but I only do 60 stitches for mine, so then everything was so stretched out, I couldn't even knit. So I had to pull it off. So if any of you out there are 9-inch circular people and you have some tips, the only thing I can think of is to maybe start them on a different pair of circulars and magic loop them and then transfer them onto this. But I don't know, like, I think these are size 0s that I got, which is what I usually knit mine on. If I'm doing size 1s, I have to do 60 stitches or they're going to be too loose. And I decided vanilla socks just aren't my thing anymore. They have to have some sort of pattern, some sort of lace, something to like pull in the socks, some ribbing all around the sock. So I can't just do vanilla because then they don't fit, especially if I'm doing shorties, because then you don't have your calf to hold up the top part of your sock, like, because your ankle is obviously smaller than your calf for most people. I'm not trying to make a generalization there. I wish I had like longer hair so that I could just be like, whoosh, whoosh. I'm working on it. Everything's taking so long to grow, especially because I had shaved this part of my head and all underneath here at some point, and now I'm just trying to grow it out. This looks good. This is great. Everything else, like, I can't even like see this. What is that? Sorry, tangent. And that is being housed. I think I'm going to finish up my Mary Mercury socks and my charity knitting before I cast these on, but it's picked out and ready to go. And then, who's doing the Ho-He mystery knit along? Because I am. I wasn't going to do it because I was like, there's no way I have enough in my stash that I could come up with a decent 5 colors, like 5 full skeins at that. Because I had thought about doing the Find Your Fade shawl, and like, it's really pretty and everything, but I couldn't come up with all those colors. Well, now I probably could, but I like doing the mystery knit-alongs because they're kind of fun. I've only done the one before, and that was the 3 pips, and I failed miserably at not finishing it. So now I'm doing the Ho-He mystery knit-along, and I put a few pictures up. I brought out all of my fingering weight yarn and 1 skein of lace weight yarn because I can hold lace weight double together to knit and have that be fingering. So I pulled it all out and I just started putting a couple things together. I have so much of this like bright coral that I need to use. Actually, I think I have enough yardage of that to make a Madewell or a cardigan of some sort, but I'm trying to think of when I'm going to wear a cardigan in Texas. But we're only going to be in Texas for a few years before we move somewhere else, and it might be cold there. Life of the military spouse. Things you might not have to think about is holding on to your snow gear while you're living in Texas, right? Anybody else out there? Crickets, crickets. This is the wrong bag. You guys, I'm losing it. And it's directly behind the camera. This is my leftover fleece stuff from the sheeps. I promise one day I will do a podcast where everything is together. I won't sniffle. I maybe might not say 1,000 times, but not today. I hope you guys love my like train wreck of a mess here. I have yarn everywhere. This is like our little computer room. It's in the master bedroom. There's just stuff everywhere right now. Thank goodness my husband's at work and my oldest is at school. My youngest is downstairs. He was eating a banana. So I'm gonna pause again and I'm going to pull out what I have planned for my Hohi mystery knit along. 1 second. Take 5, I think, maybe 6, I don't know. I hope you guys don't mind. If you really, I only have my 6 subscribers and I only post, I know it's been like a month now. I'm working on it with kids and sickness and getting situated and all this other stuff. It's been difficult to find the time to podcast. So I pulled out all of my yarn, and some I've used before. This purple was used in a sweater that I sent for my niece. Now they're a little bit different. I'm not quite sure if I will need to use them both. It's my last color though, so, and I think it's the one that uses some of the least amount of yardage, so not quite a full skein of that one. But I was pulling out all my yarn. I'm wondering if I can get it all together in order. It's all different brands, all different companies. There are 2 Piraten Volas, and this is one Piraten Vola. She does such a great job. And oh, I had a friend send me, it's on my Instagram, so if you don't follow me, go find me and you can see my friend. We had a Polish pottery coffee pour over, and it cracked when we moved. Like, we put it in our luggage so we could make coffee while we were traveling to see family and then come to Texas, and it cracked while we were at our first place in North Carolina. And she went and bought me a new one. She didn't even ask for money. Like, I told her, I'm like, how much can I send you? And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. And then she was like, can I send you some yarn too? I was like, yeah. She just got into knitting. Her name's Melanie. We were stationed in Germany together. She is moving, I think, sometime in the next year. And so she sent me some Piraten Vola, and one of them is making its way into my shawl, and it's so pretty. If I hadn't had it, I probably wouldn't have been able to make the shawl. So thank you, Melanie. You made the mystery knit along possible. So I'm trying to get it all in order of how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to start. This is actually lace weight, and I'm holding it double. This is Anzula Wash My Lace weight. There's a lot of it in here. There's like 900, plus or minus 990 yards. And the first color, I think, doesn't quite use a full skein. So this is going to be fun to wind up. Said no one ever. There's a reason why I don't knit in lace, which is why I'm holding it double. And then I am going into this Araucania Nuble. It's a lot brighter than it is on screen, but this very pretty, like, limey green. So that into that. And then my third color is going to be, this is Island Yarn CM. I got this from a shop in San Antonio. They were going to be socks, but my whole stash is like shades of blue, to be honest. And so it's going to be that, and that. And the reason why I chose this is because this goes into the skein that Melanie sent me from Piraten Vola. See that blue, like, matches perfectly. It's like awesome, right? And then the purple matches the purple on this side too. So I feel, I'm really hoping, it's supposed to be a gigantic wrap, which I think it's supposed to be kind of like similar to the Find Your Fade. A big, like, gigantic one. I'm going to try to put them all together so you guys can see them. And these are almost all my season too. We've talked about that before. If you follow me on Facebook, I've talked about personal color analysis. But these are almost all, maybe this one's not quite light spring, but almost all of these are in my season. So it's going to look really great. And the pattern says it's big enough to be a blanket, which is fabulous. And I like, since my Cozy Memories blanket is taking a lot longer than I thought, but I'm really excited about this color combination. And then I'll probably have enough. I think only these 3 are appropriate for socks though, because I think this, oh, this is superwash, so I could hold this double and use this for some socks, but this Araucania I'm pretty sure is not superwash. No. Oh, can you use silk? If it's extra fine merino and silk mixed together, can you use this for socks? Anybody? Anybody? Crickets? Talk like there's people actually listening. Are you out there? Are you out there? Probably not. But I'm really excited. That starts on the middle of May, though, so I have plenty of time to roll. There's only one that's caked up, and it's only because I knit a sweater out of it. And that's being housed in my Knits and Giggles bag. There's an actual name for these types of bags, but I really like these because there's that hole in the side, and you loop this to carry it this way. So I've used it before where I've just kind of put it on my arm, and I've knit and just had the yarn pull from the outside. So I think I'm going to try to make, now that my sewing machine is working again, make something that's similar to this. I like because it has all the stitching. My sister Melody bought this for me for Christmas, I think back in 2013, and it's held up really well. Granted, I don't beat up a lot of my bags, but this is a good one out of like the 2 project bags that I own. And now that it's getting hotter, it is cross stitch season. Where are all my cross stitchers at? Anybody? Anybody? Again, I'm talking like there's people out there. So I have this kit that I bought from Amazon because when I started getting back into cross stitch, I didn't want to invest a whole lot of money in buying patterns and buying going out and buying the cloth and everything. Plus, it was a little difficult to find cross stitch materials in Germany. I had to, the only place I knew that was English, I mean, there were English speaking stores and everything in the area, but the only ones that I knew like that had a good stock was in Baumholder, which was a good 45 minutes up like a mountain from where I lived. And so buying them off Amazon, granted they took 2 weeks to get to us because even though we had Prime shipping, it still has to go across the Atlantic Ocean, so they can't guarantee. So it usually took anywhere from like 10 to 14 days for us to get. So I have this kit, and it says Life is Good, with a nice little background of, I wouldn't call that a vineyard because I don't see the actual vine plants for grapes, but you know, some grapes, a pear, and a nice little glass of wine. So I think I'll probably knit this, and then I have some Star Wars patterns that I bought that I've been sitting for a really long time. And I had a friend, Polly, if you're watching, hi, who sent me a whole bunch of the thread that I needed and the paper, not the paper, the fabric, the cloth to do the cross stitching on. And I still haven't done it, and the boys really want their BB-8 and their R2D2, but the only problem is they're kind of small. They're only meant to be like 5x7. So I'll probably buy some like nice frames so that they can stay nice and pretty, and actually YouTube the way to mount them properly so that the cloth doesn't deteriorate and the threads don't deteriorate. So I have lots of plans. We actually have some pretty decent but windy weather over the next couple days, so I'm gonna get back to my knitting before it starts to get hot. And hopefully, I know I said last time, like, I'm gonna podcast in 2 weeks, and we saw how great that happened. So I'm gonna try really hard to not make it at least a month. And like I said, I might switch to doing like little bits here and there, and doing like, this is what I'm working on right now, and try to keep up with it a little bit more like that. So if you are coming back, thank you so much for watching again. And if you're new, I would say I'm not normally much of a hot mess when I podcast, but then I'd be lying. So I hope you like the craziness and the sharing of knitting and crocheting and cross stitching, and soon to be sewing now that my machine is fixed and I have a space for it. Granted, it's in the dining room, but it's a space nonetheless. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and I hope to see you guys soon. Subscribe if you haven't already. Again, like, I want the luxurious hair and I don't have it. So I hope to see you guys again. Have a great week, and stitch on, because that can be used for knitting and crocheting and cross stitching. Bye, you guys.